I'm Maria, and I never thought cleaning office buildings at night would lead me to discover the darkest secret that could destroy the most powerful man in Chicago. What happened next changed everything I thought I knew about justice, power, and the price of silence. My life was a constant struggle, working 3 jobs just to keep my tiny apartment in Pilsen and put food on the table for my teenage daughter, Sofia. Every night at 9 p.m., I'd grab my cleaning cart and head to the gleaming downtown towers where Chicago's elite conducted their million-dollar deals. Maxwell Sterling's building was my biggest contract. 30 floors of marble and glass, home to Sterling Industries, a real estate empire worth over $2 billion. The man himself was a legend. You'd see him on the news, shaking hands with politicians, cutting ribbons at charity events. Everyone called him Chicago's golden boy, the self-made billionaire who supposedly pulled himself up from nothing. But working the night shift, you see things differently. You become invisible to these people. They walk past you like you're furniture, having conversations they'd never have in front of someone they actually noticed. I'd been cleaning Maxwell's personal office on the 40th floor for 6 months when everything changed. It was a Tuesday night in March, around 2 a.m. The building was supposed to be empty except for security, but I heard voices coming from the conference room down the hall. Normally, I'd just turn up my headphones and mind my business, but something about the tone made me pause. One voice was Maxwell's. I'd heard it enough times on conference calls. But he sounded different, desperate, scared. "The families from the Riverside project are getting suspicious," he was saying. "If they dig deeper into what really happened." I shouldn't have listened. Every instinct told me to walk away, finish my work, and pretend I heard nothing. But my curiosity got the better of me. I crept closer to the slightly open door. 23 people died in that collapse," another voice replied. "If they trace it back to the substandard materials we approved." My blood ran cold. The Riverside apartment collapse. I remembered it vividly. It had happened 5 years ago. 23 people, including families with children, crushed when a brand new apartment building came down like a house of cards. The investigation ruled it an act of God, structural failure due to unprecedented weather conditions. But here was Maxwell Sterling, the man who built half of Chicago, admitting they'd used cheap materials. People died because of their greed, and they'd covered it up. I backed away from the door, my heart pounding so loud I was sure they'd hear it. This was bigger than anything I could handle. This was the kind of secret that could destroy lives, including mine, if the wrong people found out I knew. The next few weeks were torture. Every time I cleaned that office, I thought about those families. I'd drive past the memorial they'd built where Riverside Apartments used to stand, and I couldn't get their faces out of my head. I tried to forget what I'd heard, but it was eating me alive. Sofia noticed I wasn't sleeping, barely eating. "Mom, what's wrong?" she'd ask. "But how do you explain to your 17-year-old daughter that you're sitting on information that could bring down one of the most powerful men in the city?" Then Maxwell started showing up during my shifts. The first time, he claimed he was working late, just nodded at me like I was part of the furniture, but I caught him watching me, studying my face like he was trying to read my thoughts. The second time, he struck up a conversation. "Maria, right? You've been with the cleaning company for a while." "Yes, sir," I managed to say, trying to keep my voice steady. "Good work. Very thorough. I appreciate people who pay attention to details." The way he said it made my skin crawl. Did he know? Was this some kind of test? A week later, everything escalated. I was cleaning the bathroom when I overheard another phone call. This time, Maxwell was alone, and he was panicking. "The Martinez family is asking questions," he hissed into the phone. "Elena Martinez lost her husband and 2 kids in that collapse. If she keeps pushing for answers..." Elena Martinez. I knew that name. She lived 3 blocks from me, worked at the same grocery store where I shopped. I'd seen her around the neighborhood, always looking lost, like a ghost of herself. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about some abstract injustice. This was about my neighbor, my community. Elena deserved to know the truth about why her family died. But going up against Maxwell Sterling, I was nobody. A poor cleaner with a GED and 3 jobs. He had lawyers, connections, money. If I tried to expose him, who would believe me? And what would happen to Sofia if something went wrong? The breaking point came 2 weeks later. I was cleaning Maxwell's office when I found it. A folder left open on his desk. Inside were architectural reports, inspection documents, and email chains that proved everything. They'd knowingly used substandard steel and concrete to save costs. They'd bribed the inspection team. They'd orchestrated the cover-up. My hands were shaking as I took pictures with my phone. I knew I was crossing a line, but those families deserved justice. That's when the door opened. Working late again, Maria? Maxwell stood there, perfectly calm, but his eyes were ice cold. He'd caught me red-handed with the documents. I was just cleaning your desk, sir. Were you? He stepped closer, closing the door behind him. You know, Maria, I've been thinking about our conversations. You seem like a very observant person. My heart was racing, but I forced myself to meet his gaze. I just do my job, Mr. Sterling. I'm sure you do. He sat on the edge of his desk, casual as could be. But sometimes people see things they shouldn't, hear things they shouldn't, and that can be very dangerous. The threat was clear. I thought about Sofia, about our tiny apartment, about how easily he could make our lives disappear. I don't know what you mean, I whispered. Don't you? He pulled out his phone, scrolled through something, then turned it toward me. It was a photo of Sofia leaving school. Beautiful daughter you have. 17, right? Planning to go to college? The rage that shot through me was unlike anything I'd ever felt. This man had killed 23 people with his greed, and now he was threatening my child. You stay away from her, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. Maxwell smiled. That's entirely up to you, Maria. See, we have a choice here. You can continue being the perfect employee, someone who sees nothing, hears nothing, knows nothing. And in return, your daughter gets to have a bright future. Maybe even a scholarship to Northwestern. I have connections there. He was offering me a bribe wrapped in a threat. Stay quiet, and Sofia gets opportunities we could never afford. Speak up, and we both pay the price. But then I thought about Elena Martinez, still mourning her family 5 years later, never knowing they died because of corporate greed. I looked Maxwell Sterling straight in the eye and made the decision that would change everything. No, I said. His smile faltered. Excuse me? I said no. My voice got stronger with each word. You killed 23 people because you wanted to save money. You destroyed families, and now you think you can threaten mine? Maxwell's mask slipped completely. The charming billionaire philanthropist was gone, replaced by something cold and dangerous. You have no idea what you're dealing with, he snarled. I built this city. I own half the politicians, most of the judges. You're nothing, Maria, a poor cleaner with a sob story. Who's going to believe you? Maybe no one, I admitted, pulling out my phone, but they'll believe this. I showed him the screen, a live stream I'd started recording the moment he walked into the office. Everything he'd said, every threat, every admission was being broadcast to my social media accounts. His face went white. You can't. That's illegal. You're trespassing, recording without consent. Funny how someone who covered up mass murder wants to talk about what's illegal, I shot back. The viewer count was climbing. 50 people, then 100, then 500. Comments were flooding in as people shared the stream. You just destroyed your daughter's future, Maxwell said desperately. I'll ruin both of you. Maybe, I said, but I'd rather have a daughter who's broke but knows her mother stood up for what's right than one who got ahead because I let murderers walk free." That's when Maxwell Sterling, the man who thought his money made him untouchable, did something I'll never forget. He started crying. Not the fake tears of a politician caught in a scandal, real, ugly crying. Because for the first time in his life, someone had called him out, and the whole world was watching. 3 months later, Maxwell Sterling was arrested. The FBI investigation uncovered everything: the bribery, the cover-up, the families who died because of corporate greed. Elena Martinez finally got the answers she'd been searching for, and the other families got justice. The viral video changed my life too. A civil rights organization offered me a job as an advocate for working families. Sofia got a scholarship, not from Maxwell's connections, but from people who believed in standing up for what's right. I'm still poor, still struggling, but I sleep better now, because sometimes the little people can take down the giants. Sometimes justice wins. If this story moved you, smash that like button and let me know in the comments. Would you have had the courage to speak up? Subscribe for more insane true stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And remember, your voice matters more than you think.